What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm here at 704 Exotics taking a look at the McLaren 570S. Now, if you guys remember, a little over a year and a half ago, I was here test driving a silver 570S that they had available. At the time, I was in the search for my dream car, which was a Lamborghini Gallardo. I ended up buying the Lambo. However, I had to drive some of the competition at the same price just to make sure I was making the right decision. In that video, I had so many awesome comments from owners of the McLarens and the 570Ss who had some really good insight on what it's actually like to own this. Now, McLarens certainly have some negative thoughts towards them, but from the owner's perspective, there seems to be a lot of ways to own these cars actually in a good way where you can maintain them yourselves and they can be pretty reliable as well. So now that I have over 6,000 miles of driving in my Gallardo, let's take a look at the McLaren 570S. Fittingly, this is spec'd very similar to my own car, and let's see, should I have bought the McLaren instead of the Lambo? Now, one of the biggest things with the McLaren versus what I'm used to is underneath the engine compartment. This is going to feature a 3.8 liter twin turbocharged 8-cylinder engine that's pumping out 562 horsepower, 443 pound-feet of torque. Curb weight is going to be 3,300 pounds. It can do 0 to 60 in about 3.1 seconds, topping out just over 200 miles per hour. Now, this engine is more similar to my old GTR. If you're new to the channel, I sold my R35 to buy the Lamborghini. However, what I loved about the GTR is that I could tune that. I bought that car bone stock. I did downpipes, tuning it, flex fuel, fuel injectors, pretty much everything you can do. I did all the bolt-ons on that, and it was so much fun. This McLaren, you can do the same sort of thing, downpipes, tune, E85, and make this thing even faster. My Gallardo, naturally aspirated V10, sounds amazing, and it has 550 horsepower. No need to add any more power. It is just perfect the way it is. This car has that modification potential that I really loved with the GTR. Now, with the McLarens, they have pretty large trunk spaces. This has 5.3 cubic feet of cargo volume. I'm used to 3.9 cubic feet in the Gallardo. I use it for stuff. You know, I'll even do small grocery shopping trips, go on road trips where I have my lunchbox, camera bag, or things like that in the front. So while I really haven't had an issue in the Gallardo, this has even more space to make this car even that much more practical. All right, moving on to the interior. So you have doors that go up, which are super cool to experience. I wish all supercars honestly had that. Now, this interior, fully covered in leather, like what I'm used to. The main difference between the Gallardo and this, the interiors are so different in size. You're sitting maybe 6 inches from the passenger seat. In the Gallardo, you have a lot more space side to side. The center console's probably twice as wide in the Lambo versus in the McLaren. Also, you have this kind of floating area here, and the dashboard really comes down very narrow and is very short. This cockpit feels kind of like a go-kart. In the Gallardo, you have a very vast dashboard. It's a very open feeling cabin. I have pretty good legroom in here though, better than in the Lambo. Passenger compartment, decent legroom. And then behind these seats, you have honestly a much larger shelf to put other things. I bought a small lunchbox that'll fit on the shelf behind the Lambo seat, and I have my fire extinguisher on the other side. So not that much space, but enough for what I use. This, you could honestly fit 2 backpacks. So once again, storage solutions are really nice in the McLaren. You even have a better door pocket than what you have in the Gallardo. When you're using the interior screen, it has some basic tiles and it's laid out like a cell phone. We have our home screen, which is the McLaren icon. Then you have a couple shortcuts all around it where you can adjust your climate control, go into your navigation system, that'll pop up. Again, back to home, and then a couple different shortcuts. Now, as far as getting out with the doors that go up, it's actually a little on the small side. You definitely have to lift yourself up out of it. I think the Gallardo is a little bit easier to get in and out of this car. But with that said, let's go for a spin in the 570S. I have so much experience with the V10. Let's see, should I have gone with the twin turbo, the tuning route, basically a GTR but in an exotic body? Let's get right into it. All right, so I put a couple miles on the 570S to get my bearings back with this supercar. Last time I drove one was obviously back when I filmed the silver one over a year and a half ago. So with the Gallardo, I drive it quite a lot for what it is. Obviously, I don't technically have a daily driver need. I don't have a commute to work. You know, I drive the Lambo for fun, and I do a lot of road trips with it, so I enjoy spending time in it. So as a toy car, 6,000 miles in a year and a half is pretty darn good, I would say. Now, with this car, some similarities between the two. Visibility is really good in this. One thing I love with the Gallardo is my rear left window is so big. This car, I have a perfect view for the whole left side. Easily see out the windshield. The rear view does a great job. The side mirror on the right side, there's a lot of car in the way. The Gallardo's a little bit easier. However, looking over my right shoulder, this is a little easier. So visibility's, I'd say, pretty similar. The biggest difference is I feel like I am very much in the front of the car with this low dashboard, this kind of skinny dash as well. So it's a much smaller interior feel. And recently when I filmed a Huracan, the white one you saw in a couple of those clips, comparing that to the Gallardo, that interior is also a little more compact. The Gallardo feels very open on the cabin, which I like. You just feel like there's so much room to sprawl out. Even though my legs are just this much too cramped in it, you know, it's a pretty open interior. Some of the biggest things already, the ride quality in this is so nice. My car is very raw, you feel every bump. It is a stiff car. 6 hours later, you're ready to not be driving the Gallardo. This car, these seats are so comfortable, they're cradling my legs very nicely, there's a lot of padding to them. This is really, really good. It is smooth on the bumps. The ride quality is fantastic in this 570. As we pass a Urus, that's pretty sweet. But ride quality is great in this, which would make me want to even drive it more and even use it more for the day-to-day. If I know I'm having to deal with like traffic, I'm not taking the Gallardo. On top of that, the transmission. So this has a double clutch system versus a single clutch. The Gallardo, you drive it as if it were a stick shift. You really have to have that mentality with it because it's a single clutch automated manual transmission. This car being a dual clutch basically drives like a nice smooth automatic. I don't really have to think much about it. The car shifts, you don't feel anything, you don't have to think. You can just drive it like normal. So with that, we have a couple drive modes. The Gallardo just has the quicker transmission. We put things into the track and sport modes. Now everything in track. We have manual. You can definitely feel on this bumpier road the bump still. So it gives you that kind of supercar feeling of being a very rigid chassis, but it's nice that the car can still soften up. You know, the Gallardo is one way. You drive it in sport mode, manual, the only time, because that's the best way to drive the car. But with this car, you know, the handling definitely makes you feel even more connected with the road since you're so on the front. Just giving it a little throttle, I mean, this thing starts to move. So there's quite a lot of power in this. And last time I drove one, I drove my GTR there to drive it. Now my Nissan GTR tuned up to about 700 horsepower. That car was faster than this. So this car is very fast stock. My car has about the same power, 550 at the engine. So overall acceleration, while this might be a bit quicker off the line due to the turbos, overall this and the Gallardo are about neck and neck for acceleration feel. But being a turbo engine from the factory, this has the potential to be tuned up to 700 horsepower like my GTR and use the power really well. I have no desire to modify the Gallardo. It has an aftermarket exhaust. I got this Superleggera wing. Perfect, that is all that car needs. This car starts craving the modifications. Definitely want to hear more exhaust sound, turbo sounds, tune it, E85. Like, that's the stuff I would want to do with this car. So getting more of my familiarity with this car, the things I'm liking, it's definitely just comfortable and nice and easy to drive. I don't know if I'm too keen on the tighter interior feeling. I can't really sprawl out like in the Gallardo, but the comfort levels are really a good selling point for this car. Now I recently did a mountain trip in the Gallardo, 300 miles, so much fun. This car is definitely more of like a race car. Gosh, I think because of the twin turbo nature, it makes it feel faster when you're getting on it, just because you have that boost to hit you. So moving on to POV style. Yeah, this thing hits you pretty hard with that boost, which is really fun. But as far as the view out, like you can tell, the dash is a lot closer. It's just a lot more compact of a car. And I like the steering feel. It feels just so nimble and ready to rock. Still seems to get some looks from people. In the Gallardo, I'm always getting thumbs ups and pictures and things like that. So this car definitely has the same type of exciting aesthetics, but I think like in the Gallardo, this isn't too crazy looking to where, you know, people are gonna think you're some millionaire or something like that. So I think there's something about having a supercar that is a little on the understated side, which makes it to where you can enjoy it without the annoying attention. Transmission is so quick. It is so effortless to accelerate. It is really fun to drive in here, honestly. And now that I guess I'm at a much different point in life versus when I first bought my car, I'm more used to what it's like to own that car. This feels like a very comfortable car to kind of live with and use on the day-to-day. I think that is a big selling feature with this, with just kind of how nice it is and how well-rounded it truly is. Now, as far as the build quality, overall, I'd say it's pretty good. I mean, the leathers all look good. You are going to get a couple things that might need touching up here and there on the McLarens. You know, things don't last as long. This car is a 2016. My car is a 2014. So they're really not all that different in age. This one has like, I think 13,000 miles. I bought my car with 18 and I'm at over 24,000 on it now. And my car, everything still looks exactly like the day I bought it. So McLarens might need a little more attention to detail to keep the quality lasting, just because they're just not built the same way. McLaren is a bespoke brand. Lamborghini has Audi Volkswagen Group part of it, which helps really keep the build quality and things like that to a T. And then before we get to the more fun roads, again, the visibility and everything, you know, it's not bad. It's not bad when you get more and more used to this. I think the only big difference is just the smaller kind of cabin feel is the biggest difference, but I'm getting more comfortable driving in this, and the gauges actually will change up as well when you play with the different drive modes. You can see them change into kind of a normal design, and then back into track, it'll all get to that big tack. So you got a lot more technology. My car is just straight up gauge cluster, nothing in the screen really aside from a navigation system. So this has a bit more of the modern technology, which is cool. I don't really care about the tech in cars, but this has enough to just make it look pretty normal. But yeah, it handles so good. Man, does it book though. It's a totally different kind of acceleration than in a V10. It doesn't scream, it doesn't have that sound and that soul, but it has that thrilling excitement of just, you want to rip this through the turns and you can pretty much do anything with it. And this car's really going to take everything you throw at it. All right, so back at the dealer now, ending thoughts in the 570. To be honest, I like this car a lot more than I was expecting. So one last look at the interior again, sitting in it. I mean, you have a pretty cool view out. And again, most of the leather, honestly, really good condition overall. So the car, as long as you take care of it, I mean, they can hold up nice. I love this spec too with the black and the white leather. I mean, this is a really, really cool interior. Now, one thing kind of funny, the power seat controls are down in here. So it is really hard to grab them and make the different changes. It takes a little bit getting used to, but overall, I mean, it's a comfortable place to be. And then one more time using these awesome doors. That is a cool flex, I'd say, to have massive doors that come outward. It's not actually that hard to get in and out of, I would say. But things I like about it, I think the ride quality is one of the biggest pluses with this 570S. Truly, you can drive this car for a long time and it's just nice and comfortable. You don't really get fatigued. The Gallardo is rough around the edges, it beats you up. This car really reminds me of the GTR. It is a normal car to drive, it can be a comfortable daily that is just kind of refined, but then you can put it into the fun modes and it turns into a race car. Now, I think like the GTR, the modifications is where the character starts coming alive. This is a fun car the way it is stock, but you're definitely gonna be wanting to modify it. Downpipes tune E85, and this thing would probably just be nuts. The Gallardo is a totally different style of car. The character and soul you get with the V10, to me, is just insane. So that car is so different than this in many ways. So yeah, McLaren 570S. It was cool reading the comments on the old video. A lot of owners basically said to keep these in good condition, drive them, don't let them sit. And whenever they are parked, regardless if it's a day or two, keep them on a battery tender. I already do that with the Gallardo, and I still drive my car a lot too. So I feel like I could probably own a McLaren and it would probably be pretty worry-free. Maintenance is the only thing I'm a little curious about. I maintain my car myself. I've done a couple little repairs. I had an oil sensor that went out. It was $300 from my Audi dealership. So being McLaren is its own bespoke brand, everything is McLaren. So there's no parent company to help costs to make this easier to maintain yourself. I take pride in keeping my cars in perfect condition, and it's nice when it doesn't break the bank to maintain a supercar. It makes you want to drive it even more. So I don't know, are repairs an arm and a leg in this car? I don't know, comment below if you are a McLaren owner. But it seems like if you actually drive them, they seem to be pretty solid cars, and the experience you get is a lot like the old GTR I had. Just kind of gives you, it's a normal, fun, comfortable car at the end of the day, but it can turn into a wild supercar, race car also. So there is my thoughts on the McLaren 570S. I can see a McLaren coming to the channel, coming to the garage one day. I don't think at this point I would sell the Gallardo for it, but maybe in the future when I can have two supercars, you know, this could be the daily driver supercar, the one my wife would take out by herself, no big deal. And then the Gallardo is for the times you want to feel a raw mechanical old school car. So I love the character in this. It's a fun modern supercar without going too crazy on price. That is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for plenty more content, and big shout out once again to 704 Exotics for providing this sweet 570S for today's video. Check their website linked below, and I'll see you all in the next video.